My name is Antoinette, and so glad to be here with all of you today and to be joined by our wonderful special guest, Christy, who I will bring in just a few moments. But as we just land here today, I see many of us already typing in the chat. So if you're brand new here, a warm welcome, and you can just type directly in the chat a little hello. And we are coming in, it looks like, from all over today. So we've got Hamburg in northern Germany, all the way to California, Hadley, Massachusetts, right in the middle, Huntington Beach, California, New York City, Philadelphia, Cortland Manor, New York, Metro West Boston, Minneapolis, Minnesota, Woodcliff Lake, New Jersey, Southbury, Connecticut, wonderful, Chicago, California, Boise. Wonderful. So in the Zoom chat or in the YouTube comments, you can feel free to type in where you're calling in from, and just landing here, wherever you may be. Wendy's back from Switzerland. Wonderful. And Barbara in from West Palm Beach, Florida. So we really just have a wonderful community here gathering week after week, just to reconnect to ourselves, to each other, and really to the practice of connection. So today we will focus in a bit on gratitude and reconnect with Christy and all of the wonderful energy that she brings, and all of her teachers as well. So just recognizing where we each come from as we land here together. So what you can do is, if it's available to you, you can get your feet flat on the floor, or just connect your feet to the floor. We'll just move into our first tiny practice for today. And just taking a breath, relaxing the body. Inhaling fully and completely, exhaling fully and completely. Today's session is actually on staying open-hearted. So I'd like for us to just do our first practice on just coming into the place around the heart and just noticing, not trying to shift or change anything, but just noticing where you are today in this moment of stillness. So where you are today. Just breathing in, breathing out, noticing where you are today. And as we just tune into the place that we're in today, just noticing our intention for being here today. If there's something in particular that comes up for you about joining our group today, just noticing what brought you here. When you're ready, you can reconnect with the screen. And I like to go in on gallery view. So in the top right corner, you can click on view and then gallery. And then just take each other in. So if you can be on video, now is the time. Just taking in these wonderful faces. You could pick 3 or 4 boxes on the screen and just send a loving welcome, really joyous welcome to each of these wonderful faces that we see here. And if you're on YouTube with us today, I send you a loving, warm welcome. So good. So wherever you are and wherever we may be, we can just type into the chat what brought us here today. And then I will turn it over to Christy. So let's see a few in the chat. What is coming up? What brought us here today? I see in YouTube that we have Cindy from Semamis, Washington. We have Owatonna, Minnesota in, and I believe Colorado in on YouTube. So wonderful. And today we are here because we're forever curious, seeking softness. It's experiencing non-self. Being open-hearted is so essential to being alive. Spring opening. Yes, happy spring to those of us in the Northern Hemisphere. My need to become calm. It's a busy week. Yeah. Intrigue and connection. Enjoy connecting with interesting women from around the country. Wonderful. So we will move into practice with Kristi Nelson, who is joining us. And I always think of gratitude when I think of you, Kristi, partially because I'm just grateful to you, but also because Kristi is the author of Wake Up Grateful, the transformative practice of taking nothing for granted. And she has been the executive director of a network for grateful living. She has spent much of her adult life in the nonprofit leadership world, fundraising, organizational development, and really leading and strengthening organizations committed to progressive social and spiritual change. She brings a wealth of her own lineage of teachers and work in the Institute for Jewish Spirituality, Buddhist Peace Fellowship, Spirit in Action, and many other organizations and teachers that she's worked with. And we're so grateful to have you with us, Kristi, not just because of the wonderful work that you've done around that area, but really for all the wisdom that you've brought to our community in the last few times that you've been here and connected with us and invited us into a deeper connection with ourselves and each other. And with really just embracing, I think of some of the moments that you brought in, inviting us to embrace the flow of life. And just reconnect with that. So thank you, Kristi, for being here. And I turn it over to you for our practice today.
Hello, everyone. It's really meaningful to join in this community. And I just want to start by going right to that place that Antoinette invited you to connect with, which is just that heart space. We're going to connect a lot to that heart space today, and to feel into that. And I love that Antoinette just said, just feel, don't try to make anything different or change it. And I would love if just everyone would write one word into chat. How is your heart today? Just one word. Let's see if there's one word that can articulate the place of your heart right now. And no matter what it is, there's no right, there's no wrong, there's just where it is. And it's beautiful to notice if we can just see all of these extraordinary words. And what I want to invite us into is just noticing, like, just if you look at these words and hold your heart open, that there is an awakening of really deep resonance and compassion that's arising from me right now from my heart. So I'm reading anxious and timid and hurt and stressed, and a lot of things that are actually challenging for a lot of us right now are shared. And I was speaking to Karen and ET before we came on today, and I just want to say that in the midst of all of where my heart is grateful and all of where my heart is open, my heart is also broken right now by a lot of things in the world. And my heart feels stretched. It feels challenged. And so in the midst of all of the love that I feel, all of what is exquisite and where there is ease, is also this coexisting reality. And to me, the invitation today is to be here with all of it. So to be here with all the truths, like what does this mean to be open-hearted? It means to be open to all of what occurs, all of what is so inside this place. So I think right now, our lives are stretching us to hold things that we're constantly in this place right now. Like let's literally picture the heart expanding, the lungs in and out, contracting, expanding. And here we have, during this pandemic, the invitation to expand, and then the invitation to contract again. The invitation to go out beyond, the invitation to come in and hold close. The invitation to extend ourselves, and the invitation to extend within ourselves. And the invitation to hurt along with the world, along with a lot of the rest of the world, to feel that depth of compassion, of heartbreak, for what is happening in Ukraine right now, where anyone who has a heart that is alive, to me, a heart that is connected, a heart that feels deeply, to be open-hearted is commit to everything. So I don't know how much all of you spend time in this space thinking and talking about how do we hold a compassionate heart that's big enough to hold what's happening in the world right now and what's happening in our own individual lives. But that's the focus here today, is to be able to hold all of it at once. To stay open-hearted is to stay connected to the truth of all of what occurs, making nothing wrong, making space to be grateful for even the challenging emotions, the places where our hearts are weary. If anyone else is weary-hearted, I think that's a beautiful term to hold in the space of open-hearted. I also want to feel like that sometimes this broken-heartedness also occurs to me, that the warm-heartedness opens me to feel for other people in ways that is sometimes painful. Heartache is a beautiful word. What happens out of that ache? What do we do with the ache that we hold? So I think the invitation right now is to feel it all, to welcome it all, to know that vulnerability is the state of being that is true for all of us in life. This vulnerability is so extraordinary to hold as a source of strength, to hold as a source of courage, and very deeply to hold in this place of connection with one another. So I think right now, accepting where the heart is the big key. Antoinette started us there. Where is your heart? What does it need? And how can we be in this place in relationship to whatever is true for our hearts as they're going in this amazing rhythmic in and out, softening, stretching, softening, stretching. That's a nice way to think of it, softening and stretching. So in this wholeheartedness, to be wholehearted is to be able to connect with everything. And to be wholehearted requires us to open our hearts, which is to take risk. To take risk to be with what is around us and inside of us. And just gonna read a little passage from the book Wake Up Grateful that Antoinette mentioned. And you can close your eyes if you'd like. It's just a short passage, but it's an invitation. And it's an invitation to feel deeply. So this is called Awakened Possibility for the Collective Heart. And I start with a quote by Audre Lorde. As they become known to and accepted by us, Our feelings and the honest exploration of them become sanctuaries and spawning grounds for the most radical and daring of ideas. So again, this is really critical that we know that to feel everything allows for it all to coexist. Our emotional lives can keep us myopic, sometimes out of the necessity for growth and healing, and sometimes because fear limits and hampers us. When we open the lens to see ourselves as part of the world and related to others through our struggles, our emotional energies become more available. This is the place of compassion. We find rejuvenation of our compassion for others in our human family, for all creatures, and for the earth from the place of being exactly where we are, brokenhearted and wholehearted. Recognizing that the suffering of any one person is the suffering of all, we are compelled to know we must carry each other across the rugged landscape of life and trust that we will be carried in the process. When our emotional self-acceptance is turned on and our blinders are turned off, we can recognize opportunities everywhere. We can see needs everywhere calling for our care and engagement from within ourselves and from outside. We know we are a vital part of this beautiful constellation, and we advance towards those opportunities perfectly messy, perfectly needy, and perfectly enough. Perfectly messy, perfectly needy, and perfectly enough. That's a beautiful paradox to hold. It is not necessary to wait until we feel suitably strong and emotionally complete to begin listening to ourselves and to the world. It is these exact conditions that make us best able to serve our world and our own development simultaneously. Brokenheartedness, wholeheartedness is open-heartedness. When our hearts are awakened to our feelings and our feelings are awakened to guide us, we can situate ourselves in a landscape of belonging. How we perceive the whole world changes when we tune into vulnerability and brokenness as a shared experience, never ours alone. We can step outside of our singularity and discover ourselves accompanied. That's what happens here, Women Together. It is in these resonant moments we find our calling to be of service to a larger universe. Moved to tend to the collective heart, we know we are tending to our own. Our world awaits your heart's full employment. What does it mean to really employ and engage your full heart? Not its perfect composure. Your heart awaits the wake-up call of this moment, fully embraced and fully loved for all of its broken beauty. Let wholeheartedness, let open-heartedness turn you toward the possibility that wants to be awakened in you. So a question is, what are the states of my heart? And you can use this for a little reflection period right now. What are the states of my heart I need to embrace more fully in order to live more open-heartedly, in order to live more wholeheartedly? What are those states that I experience, my feeling states, the states of my heart, that I can embrace more lovingly, more compassionately? What's seeking my attention in order to live more open-heartedly? So you're welcome to write on paper if you have that. You're welcome to reflect quietly to yourself. You're welcome to put this into chat if you'd like. What is awaiting your full embrace that would give you permission to live more open-heartedly? Just hold that question. And let whatever arises, arise. So we have forgiveness. That's a very beautiful and resonant state. Compassion and patience. Embodiment. So as you hold this, I'd like to read a poem that to me is a really gorgeous invitation. And let this, nothing, I am ready. Thank you. So in this space of where we can be grateful for all of it as it exists, for all of what's true, I want to invite us to hold paradox. Paradox is such a powerful energy. It means we need do away with nothing. It means it can all coexist. So all the states of our being live simultaneously inside of all the states of the world live simultaneously. And our work is to open our hearts to all of it, to make ourselves available to all of it, and to even be grateful for what there is to learn from all of it. So this is a poem, and we'll put a link in the chat for you, but just listen into this poem in the way that it invites you to listen. So just offer it your deep attention. It's called Adrift by Mark Nepo. Everything is beautiful, and I am so sad. This is how the heart makes a duet of wonder and grief. The light spraying through the lace of the fern is as delicate as the fibers of memory forming their web around the knot in my throat. The breeze makes the birds move from branch to branch as this ache makes me look for those I've lost in the next room, in the next song, in the laugh of the next stranger. In the very center, under it all, what we have that no one can take away, and all that we've lost face each other. It is there that I am adrift, feeling punctured by a holiness that exists inside everything. I am so sad, and everything is beautiful. Thank you. So he starts out saying, everything is beautiful and I am so sad. And he ends by saying, I am so sad and everything is beautiful. So any place in you that has a sadness that wants to extend itself out to the world or into your own heart, to the people around you in this space, to those others who we've forgotten maybe in the rooms around us, any place where you want to extend a loving embrace to that sadness is to hold the coexistence of beauty, to know that it is there, that it exists side by side, that it is also true, and that we do not, this is a powerful thing to be able to say, we do not compromise our ability to be with the difficulty and the pain in the world, actually, when we commit to seeing beauty, when we commit to seeing beauty and to feeling joy, to feeling love, to wanting pleasure, to allowing our senses to indulge ourselves into pleasure, to nurture ourselves in these ways, we do not deny the difficulties of the world. We actually nurture our ability to tend to those difficulties. And this is something that I have had to learn so much because my concerns for the world and my concerns for others so often lead the way. And part of what I've had to learn in this space of gratefulness and holding what we call the great fullness of life, which means that everything can coexist and does coexist, the great fullness of life, the great fullness of heart requires that we also experience and allow in love right alongside deep empathy and hurt and compassion, and that we allow ourselves to feel joy right in the midst of sorrow. So for me, and Frances just said this is the definition of freedom. The freedom is to allow ourselves to feel all that is so, and to know that there is no wrong, there is no right, there is just what's true. And the more that we don't push back, the more that we don't push away against what we don't want, the more we can hold in our embrace. Mark Nepo has a beautiful saying as well. I don't know if you know this, but our fears just want to be held. It's a really beautiful thing to say. Our fears just want to be held. Our hurt just wants to be held. Our anger wants to be held. Our sadness wants to be held. So if we can make this incredibly important commitment, wholeheartedness includes brokenheartedness. And wholeheartedness is the state of openness that we can hold for ourselves. So what I want to do is, before we go into breakout sessions, I want to invite you into just a short meditation, just to come center into yourself and all of this knowing of what coexists inside of you and in the world, and making as big a space for it as we can. And any of you who have done this meditation with me before, any meditation with me, know that I really love to actually place my hands on my heart. I love to be able to put my hands, my thumbs right here. I love to feel my heart beating. So I invite you to lower your gaze, to soften your gaze, to close your eyes if you're comfortable, and to get to connect right now. Right in this moment, to allow yourself to connect deeply with this beautiful, beautiful, big, bountiful, broken, bodacious heart of yours. This heart that gets to feel everything, that gets to tend everything in its own way, in its own time, that turns inward towards yourself, turns its heart itself inside out, this heart of yours, inside out towards others, the strength of your vulnerability, the beauty of your vulnerability. Open your heart just a little wider. Feel what that feels like to imagine taking a breath, and as your lungs swell, invite your heart to swell as well. Now soften. Now swell as you inhale. Swell that heart of yours to be able to take everything in and hold it. And now soften. Self-tending. Rest. The heart rests in between its beats. It swells to greet the world, to nourish us, pulsing life through our bodies, this exquisite heart. And perhaps you say to yourself, I get to feel everything I feel. I get to feel everything I feel. Everything I feel makes me who I am. Everything I feel connects me to others. Everything I feel connects me to the world. Everything I feel connects me to Source. I get to hold my heart open. I get to soften and swell, tend within and tend without. And allow your hands, if they're on your chest, to radiate a warmth of appreciation. Feel the depth of appreciation that you can feel right now towards yourself in connection with all others here on this call today and all around you. And feel your own belonging. It is my open heart that connects me to all things, to all people, and to all of life. Broken and whole. So with a gentle exhale and inhale, I want to read one more little poem for you because it's such a favorite of mine, and then send you into the breakout rooms with a question to consider. This is a poem called Roshani by Roshani Ray, which, if you don't know Roshani, she's an exquisite writer. It's called The Unbroken. And Roshani wrote this after the 5th death in 1 year of her family. So just hold that all of this can coexist. The unbroken. There is a brokenness out of which comes the unbrokenness. I'll start again. There is a brokenness out of which comes the unbroken. A shatteredness out of which blooms the unshatterable. There is a sorrow beyond all grief, which leads to joy, and a fragility out of whose depths emerges strength. There is a hollow space too vast for words, through which we pass with each loss, out of whose darkness we are sanctioned into being. There is a cry deeper than all sound, whose serrated edges cut the heart as we break open to the place inside which is unbreakable and whole, all while learning to sing. While learning to sing. So I share both those poems with you here in chat as gifts. Poetry is such an important gift, and we have a collection of poems I'll share with you at the end. I want to send you into the chat, into your breakout rooms with this question to consider and anything else that arises for you. But the question is, what might living from a more open heart mean for me or look like for me? And what commitment would it take? So again, what would living from a more open heart mean for me or look like for me? What might that look like in your life? And what commitment might it take? So with deep blessing, I ask for the powers that be to send you into beautiful breakout rooms, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, Christy. So we'll follow those prompts, and we'll be back in about 18 minutes. So enjoy the time together, and yeah, if you're on YouTube, thank you so much for joining and feel free to journal on those points. See you back here in just